What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another live episode of the Officer Nate podcast. Joining me today are two awesome guests, and we're going to have a really fun discussion, and I think you guys will enjoy it as well. Feel free to jump in the chat and throw questions at us. But first, let's talk about your clothing. It's not nearly patriotic enough, not in the least. Now, lucky for you, the people who are joining me today just happen to be the owners and operators of State Patriot. Check out this awesome hat that I'm wearing, okay? With the removable patch, you can exchange it for a different patch for every day of the week and wear a different hat every day of the week if you want. So let's bring in Pete and Danielle Coryn with me from State Patriot. What's going on, guys?
How's it going?
Hey there.
Good. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
You bet. So you heard that little introduction, and these guys have heard me talk about State Patriot in some of my episodes previous. Tell us about your product. Tell us about your brand. Tell us about the awesome clothes.
Yeah, it's a company that's all based around supporting police, fire rescue, military, really the heroes of our country, and making sure that, whatever. We talk to a lot of police officers. You see them, and they love seeing people in a thin blue line shirt, knowing that we have their back and that people do support them. I didn't serve in the military, but I appreciate the military. So if wearing something that is pro-military, makes our men and women serving feel better, then by all means, that's what I want to do. And, I've always said that if a shirt doesn't have a flag on it, it's really not a good shirt. So
right.
Now that we own this company, I can wear a flag every day I want. So she's got to deal with it.
I mean, I have and I come along with making the aesthetics of it look pretty. So
absolutely. That's why you're the one featured in all the videos, right?
So you got to put a face with the company, right? So
yeah.
Our faces are not bad looking, so I'll go with that. But honestly, it's with so much hate around first responders, specifically with police officers and everything. We have a lot of family and friends that are police officers, firefighters, in the military, veterans, and it's just I don't think that there's enough support for them, and any way that we can help that. We were all on board for.
That's awesome. I mean, I remember when you guys first reached out to me and you sent me my first hat. I was like, "Oh, this is badass." Never seen a hat like this,
I remember seeing the picture, the first TikTok that you had with it on, and I was like, "Oh my God, he's wearing the hat!" I was like, "We did it."
Now, isn't it interesting? And I'm sure you guys have seen this. Trying to push your clothing out there and market your brand and your company. Why is it that only conservatives seem to be the patriotic ones wearing the patches, the flag, whatever it is, the Second Amendment, all that stuff? Have you guys delved into that at all to figure out why? I mean, I'm just going to say it, why they hate America so much?
Well, and it's interesting because, we have, our group of friends ranges all different backgrounds, political views, races. I mean, everything. Everyone comes from different stuff. And, I think that the unfortunate thing right now is people aren't willing to just have good conversations about this stuff. But we have friends that are, I don't know, I don't ask, but I think they vote probably more, liberal, which is fine. That's their choice. They still support us. There's some shirts that, maybe aren't as
their cup of tea.
Yeah. So, we're trying to get into different types. Not everyone wants to wear a support the police shirt, but maybe they want to wear something that at least supports America. You never know. So we want to be able to appeal to everyone. And I look back at, I think when really like my patriotism really came alive was when 9/11 happened. 20 years ago. I think if you look back, if you're 30 years or at least 30 years old, you probably remember that day. And September 12th was an amazing day.
Yeah.
Everyone had flags up. We were united. And it was all about how do we bring our country back? How do we lock arms and make things better? How do we support our first responders? And it was all about how do we support and love our country? And I think that's the biggest thing we've lost. Well, it's just so decided. It's so like right, left, and it's like why can't we just be Americans? Why is patriot considered a hate word right now?
Well, so if I could say how, if in my eyes, how I think this happened is obviously with the last election, it was a very, you're going one side or the other, or you don't want anything to do with it because you don't like either of them, which is a very, I think that's normal to, not normal, but I mean, you know, what am I trying to say there? Like, I think it's valid because you didn't feel comfortable for voting either way. So I think personally, when everybody sees the American flags, they're immediately putting you on the Trump train, so they say. So I think a lot of people are trying to move away from that. A lot of people that did not agree with anything Trump, I think that they're trying to go down the route of, I don't necessarily know if it's that they hate America. I think there's a lot of people that are just like, we don't want anything to do with this, so let's just not even go down that road. I personally, that's how I see some of these people. Because I mean, you know, we recently started on TikTok, and sometimes you just get down rabbit holes, right? And you're just looking at some of these things and you're like, oh my God, how did I get here? And whether I'm in like deep state things or I'm on like deep left things, I'm just like, oh gosh, I am not really sure. But I like to listen. I love to hear other people's sides because I don't think every one person is correct in everything. So personally, and I think you feel the same way because like you said, we have so many friends that are totally different views, and I'm open to everybody's view. We're a specific view, and this clearly is just what it is. It's patriotic and we love America. This man, like, I feel like 4th of July is lit. He should have been born on 4th of July. He lives that and breathes America. So if I had to attribute anything to why they don't wear the patriotic colors, I think it's because they associate it going back to Trumpers.
That's interesting.
Do you feel that way?
I mean, what's that?
Do you feel that way also? Like, how do you?
Well, no, I think you're absolutely right. It's just, it goes back to the whole Trump derangement syndrome. Like all bad things begin and end with Donald Trump, right? I mean, that's how they feel. I mean, I'm pretty sure, you know, America existed long before Donald Trump came along, and it'll be around long after he leaves, along with the American flag and the national anthem and, you know, all of those symbols that we use to, you know, show pride and allegiance and, you know, and gratitude for our country. Yeah. I wish we could all get back to just being Americans, you know, I mean, there is absolutely, I mean, if you look around and you see, look at what kind of life you get to live in America, it's 100% better than anywhere else on the face of the earth. There is no more prosperous, free nation in the world than the United States of America. And it saddens me when people don't acknowledge that. Not only do they not acknowledge it, but they try to convince you of the contrary, that America is oppressive, right? That we're systemically racist, that, you know, that we're not free, that we don't have these liberties. Well, seems like there is one party in particular in this country who is fighting to take some of those liberties away. And if we can get away from that and just get back to everybody living their own lives, right? Living their best lives, because you can do that in America. You can live whatever life you want to live. Nobody's standing in your way.
But I think that also then comes down to, you have a lot of people that are just uneducated, you know, especially with the last year and a half, everyone being stuck in quarantine and stuck at home. Everyone's become keyboard warriors, and you hear something on Facebook and it's, oh my God, did you hear on Facebook? And it's like, you know, I hear things on Facebook. I'm like, I wonder if that's true. I got to go research this.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got to fact check stuff. And unfortunately, you know, everyone has their opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and that's totally fine. But I think a lot of times, you know, you run into people don't understand what the Constitution actually stands for. What does it mean? I mean, I remember when I went through concealed carry training, I learned more about the Second Amendment than I actually did shooting a gun. It was all about, what are the founding fathers? What were they actually trying to do? Why is this established? Why is this in place? And I actually found it really interesting. It made me want to research that more and look into it. So I think that, again, and this comes down to, we're not having good conversations. You know, you need to have, if you're a Republican, you need to have conversations with your Democratic friends. The only way you're going to form the best opinion is having conversations with people that have differing and come to a happy medium. Yeah. And right now, we're all just so staunch. This, you know, I'm digging in and this is how I feel. And if you don't like it, well, screw you. And that's that's where the divide is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think everybody has to be open to, to hearing opinions from the other side and trying to see things from a different perspective. I think the problem that I run into a lot, and I'm guilty of that. I tend to be pretty hard-nosed and hard-headed sometimes. But I think where I tend to dig my heels in is when people are trying to limit or restrict my God-given rights, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the First Amendment, when they're trying to compel speech and or trying to limit speech and trying to censor speech. That's where I have a problem. That's where I'm not willing to compromise. I'm not willing to listen. If you're going to censor and silence and cancel me because I'm saying something, right? I'm using my words to say things that you disagree with. People say stuff that I disagree with all the time, and I don't spend my day trying to get them fired and trying to, destroy their families and, and cancel their livelihood. If I don't agree with it, okay, fine, I'll ignore it, or I'll come back with another argument, right? That's another thing that we see is people don't actually argue arguments. They attack people instead of attacking the argument, and when we get into this big character debate about, who's the worst person or who's the better person, when that stuff doesn't really matter. Like, let's talk about the issue. Let's not talk about the person talking about the issue.
Right.
So I think that's where we see a divide is we end up at this point where if you can't agree on something, then just agree to disagree and go your separate ways. But then you get, like I said, people start attacking each other and they want to cancel each other. And then that just drives a wedge in between us further and further.
Well, just to validate your point, we were live on TikTok and we just got our access suspended for violating the community guidelines.
Oh my goodness.
So if you could,
we didn't even say anything bad yet.
And I was trying to read some of the comments. I wasn't trying to be rude when I was looking up, but I was trying to read some of the comments. I did see some. It says that it's hateful behavior. I saw something that said they were 21 years in the military and were absolutely wrong. And then all of a sudden it said that we were suspended for violating the community guidelines. So to literally validate exactly what you were just saying there, our First Amendment.
Yeah.
And we didn't even say anything other than support America. I mean, I'm very, very much open to everybody's side. And that's what I've said from the beginning, because I think everyone is completely entitled to having their own opinion. Whether it's what I agree with or not, I'm still living my life the way I want to live it. And I know he damn well is going to still walk around with red, white, and blue till he dies. So
yeah. Well, sorry.
That's funny.
It's so mind-boggling, again, with TikTok, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what you say. The content doesn't matter. It just matters who's offended by it. I'm sure there was, they reported it and then they got some of their friends to report it. And then TikTok removed it because so many people reported it. It's just silliness. I tell this to people. I say this to people all the time is that you don't have the right to go your entire life without being offended. Like the Constitution and the First Amendment specifically protects my right to be rude to you. It does. I mean, it sounds silly, but it protects my right to be offensive. And in order to think freely and to think critically and then to express those thoughts, you have to risk being offensive sometimes. It's not as though you're doing it intentionally, but the things that we say aren't always going to resonate with everybody, or they're going to resonate differently with some people.
Yeah.
But the idea that, I mean, it's a dangerous road to go down when we start censoring speech and, silencing other voices and other ideas. I mean, you guys with State Patriot, you're literally promoting the idea of like, it's my First Amendment right to wear the clothes that I want to wear and make a statement with them.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, I think in the beginning, we're like, 99.9% of your clothing is patriotic. Yeah. So when the opportunity arose,
kind of a no-brainer.
Like, yes, we want to purchase this company and drive it to the top. Like, yes, this man will literally just walk around with all the clothing all day long. So
when did you guys become the owners?
We took it over in, it was earlier part of this year. So the founder of the company, he's actually he's one of those he can't stop creating new businesses, and he stretched himself too thin. And he's actually training to go into the military as well, special forces.
Wow.
And it worked out great. We met the guy, we clicked right away. We love the brand, we love the clothing. He started off with just dry fit shirts, which I love dry fit, especially in the gym, working out, everything else. And we live in Florida. I mean, you walk outside, you start to sweat. You need, it's great for the boat and beach and everything else. We just came out with new cotton shirts, because not everyone loves dry fit, but it made sense for us. This was an opportunity for us to, for me to literally put flags on all my clothes, which is beautiful. But then, again, to support people that support us, and I think that's the crazy thing. We're so quick to say, police officers, they're terrible because look what happened. And yeah, there are bad things that are going to happen. There are bad apples in the bunch, but I've had a bad sandwich from, I don't know, well, I can't say Chick-fil-A because they're awesome, but let's say, you go to McDonald's and you get a bad sandwich. Well, I'm not firebombing McDonald's on social media. But there are plenty of people who do. But it was an isolated incident, you hope. And life goes on. So are you going to let that really you're going to melt down over that one situation for the rest of life?
Well, I think that really is upsetting. And I can't imagine as for you, serving in the police force and receiving so much hate for something that you never did.
Yeah.
Right? Like how that's almost like.
Yeah, because it was for you is what meansy words to people. Like that's what upset them. Like
no, I'm saying what has transpired with police, in the last few years, which has been happening forever. But that's literally any type of occupation. You got bad doctors. I mean, malpractice has been happening for how long?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Bad politics.
Well, I think people become emboldened to attack the police. I don't know if they feel like they're entitled to do that because they pay taxes, and if that's, and I think the thing with police officers is their whole function is to hold people accountable, right? That's their entire job is to, that's not their entire job, but one of their main functions is to take people who have committed crimes and put them before a judge, and so they feel like, I don't know if you've ever been arrested before. I haven't, but I've arrested plenty of people. And even if you're wrong, the idea that someone else is holding you accountable for that makes you feel like a victim, right? Yeah. It makes you feel like, well, why are they picking on me? How come they're coming after me? I've heard arrestees say this to me. How come you're always picking on me? Because you're always committing crimes. But they really feel that way. They fabricate this victim mentality. So whenever they get a chance to fight back or to fire back against police, they take it. And so I think that's really where this anti-police narrative developed from, was the sentiment that, the police officers think they're so high and mighty because they're the ones who hold people accountable for their criminal behavior. Let's get them back. And this is our shot. So I think that's why you see police officers coming under attack so much in recent years. Yeah. And I did an interview on Newsmax on Tuesday, and we talked about this very thing because I've seen a lot of left-wing talking heads, pundits, sort of playing the misdirection game when it comes to law enforcement and use of force, especially when it comes to excessive use of force. Now, those things happen, but they happen very rarely, right? The excessive force, police brutality, they happen a fraction of the time if you compare those instances to the total number of officer contacts with the general public, right? Mm-hmm. But the left wants you to focus on those things instead of on actual criminal behavior, instead of on the actual issues. So the example that I used, there was an incident where U.S. Marshals were tracking a homicide suspect. He committed a homicide in Ohio, fled to Mississippi. They tracked him down in Mississippi, and when they found him, they arrested him and they were walking him out of the house. Well, as they were walking him through the front yard, one of the U.S. Marshals punched him in the face while he was in handcuffs. Obviously, that's wrong, right? Obviously, yep. We know that. We all know that. We know that's a problem. That officer likely will lose his job, and maybe even face a misdemeanor charge for battery or something like that. But Dr. Rashad Ritchie did a segment on his show about that issue, and he showed the clip over and over again, and he said, this is a problem. This is police culture. This is what they do. This is systemic. This is systemic racism in action. This is what all cops do. And he's trying to paint that picture that all cops do this like on a daily basis. Now, again, I'm not condoning the marshal's behavior. Obviously, that was not the right thing to do. But this suspect that they arrested had just murdered a 5-year-old boy and a 42-year-old man. The little boy was Hispanic. The adult was a black man. Now they don't want to talk about the skyrocketing crime rates within the black community, right? Most crime is intraracial, right? It happens within, a specific community, whether you're talking about the black community, white community, Hispanic community. Most crime is intraracial, meaning if I'm a white person and I commit crimes, it's most likely going to be a white victim. Right. Okay? But they don't want to address that. They want to direct your attention away from that, which is the actual most important, significant issue, to the issue of police brutality, which happens very rarely. So,
but then that circles back around too. I think a lot of stuff is, we read something on social media, you hear it on the news, and everyone's like, "Oh, the news said it, it's got to be fact," and you don't go and fact check anything, And it was made me think of, I don't know if you remember the picture of I don't know if it's Prince Charles, but it's a picture of him from a side where he's holding up 3 fingers.
Oh, yeah.
Or front on his 3 fingers, and it goes to the side, and it looks like he's flipping off the camera.
Yeah.
And it's all about, you change that little perspective, and it's like he goes from being an asshole to just being a normal guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what we're doing. We're twisting, and it's just like a soundbite. You take a little bit of a soundbite, and it's like, well, I completely disagree with that. You hear the beginning and the end, you're like, wait a minute, I actually agree with what they're saying.
Yeah.
But people we don't want to take that extra step. We'd rather, instead of taking the extra step of research, we're going to jump on the keyboard and fire off some mean things, and go from there. And that's where, we're so quick, and it's probably just the way society is too. I mean, our instant gratification is at its highest it's ever been, and it's just all about, I want to get something funny in there, and I want to do this. And it's, it's just little things like that it's unfortunate. I think that's really what's creating the divide. Because again, we've had to learn to really step back. I'm sure you have too. You get a comment and it's like, you want to just fire back with something, but it's like, what is that going to do? I'm not going to gain anything. They want me to engage them. Mm-hmm. Have your moment, leave your comment. Hey, thanks for the engagement. It makes us look better on social media platforms. So keep it up. Right. Yeah. But, and that's,
I feel like, going back to your original point about where you had said that they'll feel like victims, or criminals will feel like victims. When you asked the question, have you ever been arrested? Neither of us have ever been arrested. But I do remember when I first got my license, when I turned 16, I was like, ooh, queen of the road, right? I can just go wherever I want. I'm driving as fast as I could. Got pulled over 2 times. Sorry, Dad. I got pulled over twice within a month of having my license, because I just apparently like to speed. And I remember being so rude to those officers, and just not rude, but it was more like, why do you think that you can arrest or give me a ticket? I didn't do anything wrong. And I'm darn well know
you're just sassy.
I was speeding, and it was just stupid, right? So I acted like a jerk to them. And of course, they're going to give me a ticket because I'm acting like a jerk to them. One time I was crying my eyes out. I tried that route. As I got older and I found a respect for the police and all first responders, I realized, I remember, I think it was you, we were driving with you, and you were speeding, not crazy, but you were speeding enough to get pulled over. And I've never seen somebody so respectful, 10 and 2. I mean, the guy came up to him, and this guy, this was in Orlando, right? He was in Orlando, he was a state trooper, and he pulled him over and was just like, dude, do you know how fast you're going? As an older gentleman. And he's just like, yes, I am so sorry. I am aware of how fast I was going. And can I go into my glove compartment and get my stuff for you to show? And he's like, yes. Comes back 10 minutes later, and he lets him off. And so we were talking to somebody not too long after and telling him the story. And he goes, what was the guy's last name? And I can't remember now, but we told at the time we did. And the guy was like, that's my dad. And he has never let anybody off before. He's like, how did you get out of that?
Well,
and
no,
I was just like,
so the son then 2 weeks later going.
Okay, now I was going to leave that part out.
2 weeks later,
he got pulled over again.
I was the first time I was shocked because we were in a conversation, wasn't paying attention, got pulled over, got whatever. 2 weeks later, a month later, whatever, and then the son pulls me over. I know, but hey, I speed, and I said, I owned it, and yeah, and then
his son pulled him over. He got the ticket from his son.
And he's like, clearly you got a trend, but I mean, it's just one of those, why did I get a ticket? Because I was breaking the law.
Yeah,
I'm gonna fight that. Yes. Like I love when they're 100%. Like, do you know why we pulled you over? You're damn well. Yeah, I was flying. Like, what'd you clock me at? Like, thank God it was only that. But it's one of those. You're just trying to do your job, and I get it. And I broke the law, and I think that's where like we talk about all the time. Like living in Florida, we absolutely love our governor because his stance, and my perception of it is there's rules and laws set forth by the state, by the country, county, whatever. If you follow those rules, do what you want. Make up your own mind, make your own decisions. That's what you're free to do. And I think that's why we all love DeSantis so much. But, I think that's where we just need to get back to is we all have a, unwritten, I guess, agreement about these rules and laws we need to follow. Follow that and life is good.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing what a little respect and, calmness and cooperation will do for you, in a traffic stop situation. I mean, but
totally different than a committed crime. But I just, that's the only thing I could really relate it to. And I just saw the difference
but you see all the traffic stops too that are resulting in a gun being pulled and all this other crazy stuff. And it's like, man, if you wouldn't have if you wouldn't have escalated yourself, you might have gotten a ticket, maybe not. But you then went immediate like, oh, the police they're out to get me. I need to, and it's, I don't know how that ends well for anyone. It's unfortunate when you see those situations.
Yeah.
I think one thing that would help people to understand is when it comes to traffic stops and citations, at least for me in my experience in law enforcement, my goal was to make sure that whoever I stopped got an education, right?
I love it.
This is why we have this law. I caught you breaking it. How do you is it going to continue? Like, is this behavior going to continue? Am I going to stop you again tomorrow? Is there some sort of sober awakening to oh man, I better slow down through here. I can't run that stop sign anymore because I might kill a kid walking through the crosswalk. So my goal was to make sure that they were educated in that moment about what the law was and about what their responsibility is to not break the law. Now, if I believe that they understood during our conversation that, I shouldn't have done that, sorry, I'll do better next time, then I'm like, okay, they probably don't need a ticket then. They probably got the point, right? But like you said, Pete, if they're going to argue and come back at me with, well, you should be out doing something worthwhile. Why are you pulling me over? Blah, 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 making excuses. Then I'm like, okay, they probably need a ticket because it's not getting through to them. So if now with some officers, some officers have this hard and fast rule. Like if you're going 10 over, you're going to get a ticket no matter what. But I mean, you might as well take the chance and be respectful and be polite and then hope that, okay, I showed this officer some respect. Maybe he'll show me a little grace in return and not give me a ticket. At least that's how I operate. If at the very least you show me the same respect that I show you, then I mean, I'm not about writing traffic tickets. Like that was never my jam. I really was the guy that wanted to go out and find, felony crimes happening, find the drugs, find the guys with warrants, things like that. So I wasn't going to waste my time and give you 3 years of higher insurance premiums with a moving violation citation if I didn't have to.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, if someone's flying by you at 10, 15 miles an hour and then they're pissed off at you, like you were breaking the law, like so it's kind of the other thing too, like so it's like negotiating with kids.
Yeah. I pulled when I was working for the Bellevue Marshal's office here, there was a this highway that led out of town, and as you entered this highway from town, the speed limit was 25, and then it jumps up to 35, and then it jumps up to 55. Well, as soon as people hit that 25, they know that it's 55 coming up.
Yeah.
So in the 25 zone, they're on it. I mean, they're just, they're lighting them up and they're going. And I caught this 17-year-old kid doing 65 miles an hour in a 25 zone. And I pull him over, and, that's reckless driving at that point.
Yeah.
And which is a misdemeanor in Idaho. But he was a 17-year-old, and, he's driving his mom's car, and I'm looking at this kid going, I don't know that a misdemeanor citation would be appropriate, because he was very remorseful. He's like, oh my God, like, I really screwed up. So, I gave him a ticket, but I didn't give him the misdemeanor, but there was a pretty hefty fine attached with that. And I'm like, you're going to have to go home and explain to your mom why you were doing 65 and a 25, and, why you got this $300 ticket in your hand now. So yeah, those are, and so Danielle, I think to your point you were talking about earlier, I think it's human nature to kind of have that reaction, like, why am I being pulled over? There's all these people on the road who are doing 10 miles an hour faster than I was. Why did you single me out?
Right.
Which, and I'm that way too. Like, I've been pulled over, even working in law enforcement. When I was off duty, I've been stopped, and I initially got like, really? What the, why me? Why me? But then you kind of have to fight against that and go, okay, but I was speeding, right?
And it is their job. Like, yeah. I feel like I have to do that. I have to take a step back to just be like, to understand, yes, this is their job. They are just doing their job. Even when I go through, like, when I'm going to my parents' house and they have a guard gate there, right? And they're so looking at your license, and they're like, what's your name? Where are you going? And I'm like, okay, just let me in, right? Like, but they're just doing their job. Yeah. So I just want to, like, you have to just take these moments and really put yourself in their shoes, and they're just trying to work. And bless
you know what? Well, what's funny is, and I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing for cops. I think it's a good thing, but you kind of get into a bit of a routine when you do a traffic stop. So usually, if you're a good officer or a good deputy, what you're doing is, when you're talking to that person and you're approaching their vehicle, is you're looking for signs of other crimes, right? You're looking for indicators of something more serious. So usually when I stop someone for speeding and I'm approaching the car, I'm looking in the back seat, I'm looking at the floorboards, I'm looking all around the vehicle to see, maybe there's a meth pipe on the floor, maybe there's a little baggie of dope or something, or maybe there's a gun, so you're looking for those things, and you're looking for things that might be a threat to officer safety. A couple years ago, I got pulled over in between here and Nevada. I got pulled over on the highway by a county deputy that I'd worked with a lot. And he stops me, and it's nighttime, and he doesn't initially realize that it's me. But as soon as he gets up to the window and he shines his flashlight in, he's like, oh, hey, man, how's it going? But then he continues, like, looking around the car, like he's going to find something, So, and I kind of looked at him. I'm like, what are you looking for? But then I realized he does this on every stop, right? That's his routine, to look for other things. So, but obviously he didn't find anything, but I just thought that was interesting that, even though he knows me, he's not breaking his routine that he does on his traffic stops.
Yeah. But I think, like, even shows like you had Cops, Live PD, Live Rescue, or I can't remember, whatever the name was. Like shows like that, like I kind of enjoyed those too, because you see what officers are going through. You see what the fire department's going through. Like, what does it actually mean for them to get a call to go to a house that's on fire? Like, we just see the trucks flying by, but to actually see them up close. Or what happens when you get a phone call for drugs or domestic violence, like things like that. Again, we see the cars fly by, you see them in front of a house, but you don't actually see what everything leads up to it. Yeah. And I think that those shows were beneficial because I think, one, they showed what you deal with as the officer, but it also kind of lets us see, well, how do people react? And it's almost like, do I react that way? How would I handle this situation? What would I do? And you see some people that, they handle things really well and it's on their merry way. Other people, they act like a jerk. They want to, act tough and, like they're going to fight the officer, which again, come on, why you want to fight an officer? All the different tools you have on you to handle that. Anyway, I'd never seen Narcan used, to see something like that. I didn't know what that was all about. So I think, again, those were shows that they educated people more than entertained in some senses. Yeah. It's unfortunate that those got taken down, and I don't know why they got taken down because, if anything, I felt they were showing police in a good light. So, I mean, I don't, but that's just, that's the culture.
Yeah. To answer Mary's question, I've been stopped a lot, Mary. So just that should be a sort of a, I guess, a testament to, I was a law enforcement officer and I never got let off the hook, right? I wasn't immune to being pulled over. It's not like when you're a police officer, you have a list of the vehicles that belong to active law enforcement, so you know that you shouldn't stop those. I got stopped all the time
on your back windshield.
Yeah, right. I got stopped all the time because they didn't know who I was, but even if they did, I've gotten a ticket before for like while I was actively working in law enforcement. So we don't get any free passes. We don't get breaks just because we wear the badge. So yeah, I've been pulled over my share plenty of times. What were you guys doing before State Patriot, before you guys bought that?
Well, it's Danielle actually is a makeup artist of 16 some odd years.
Yeah.
And leading up to that, there was just an issue with some of the different products that she was finding. She didn't like the eyelashes she could find, and she came to me and one day I was like, I'm going to start an eyelash company. I'm like, you're out of your freaking mind. And I told her no, which was a very stupid thing. She came back like a week later and she had all of her numbers and business plan, and I'm like, wait a minute, I need to look at this. And I'm like, oh wow, this could be a business. So the back end operation of our eyelash business, Lashaholic Lashes, is the exact same as State Patriot, which also made it easy. So from an operational standpoint, very easy to pick up and run with the company and things like that. And then outside of that, I've been in healthcare and a couple different staffing and software. So absolutely nothing to do with either of those whatsoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the path that led me here.
I heard lashes. That's a pretty lucrative business if you do it right.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the reason why he was like, okay, well, maybe we should.
Yeah. Well, I've got a buddy at the Twin Falls Police Department I used to work with, and we were playing. We play pickup basketball games every week, and he pulls up in this big, like, fancy, shiny, new, tricked out Ford F-250, and I'm looking at this thing going, dude, you're a cop. How do you afford a truck like this? And his wife does lashes. she has her own.
Oh, she does the extensions?
I'm not exactly sure what he just said lashes. So
that is also a very lucrative business.
Yeah.
Also.
So she makes the money and he just kind of does the police work as a hobby and drives around big fancy trucks. So yeah, I guess maybe I need to get into lashes. I don't know.
Yeah, we could make that work. We could do a collaboration. They said that I haven't put them on him a couple of times.
Well, so speaking of TikTok, like, do you have a TikTok account where you kind of showcase that?
Which
your
one?
Your lashes, like your.
So I started one probably a couple of months ago. I've had a couple of friends that are just like, you have to do this. And I was like, oh, not another social media thing. Like, it's just so much that I have to do. And finally, and I was like so against going on TikTok that I'm just like, I don't have the time for it. And then I made it and I was like, okay, now I'm just like, but I do have it. I don't keep up with it. The State Patriot one is the one that I keep up with most.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll probably, it's my first business baby, I guess. I don't want to, because I have 3 kids. So it's my first business baby that I can't let it go. So,
well, sometimes those like very specific niche TikTok accounts can be very popular and get just a ton of followers and a ton of views. Like, I've got a friend here in Idaho. She runs an equine dentistry school, and she lives in this big, beautiful house up in the, up in the middle of Idaho, in the middle of nowhere, but has this dentistry school and makes a ton of money. And we were talking about TikTok, and I'm like, if you did videos of where, you've got a horse under anesthesia and working on his teeth and like showing that on TikTok, like I bet you would amass a huge following pretty quickly, because those little things, like I watched a video like 3 or 4 or 5 times of this cowboy replacing horseshoes on a horse. I was fascinated with it. I was like, wow, look at that. Look how fast he's doing it. You know, I'm just like, I couldn't take my eyes off of it. And I looked and it had like 1 million likes. I'm like, he's just reshoeing a horse. But
all right, I got the idea. Let's put some lashes on.
Oh God.
see, yeah, just trying to help.
Well, now since our State Patriot TikTok is probably shut down, I'm gonna have to go back to Lashaholic now.
just don't mention America in your eyelash TikTok.
No, can't wait.
Patriot. That's
in the eyelash brand.
I know. Yeah, don't do that. Okay, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, just you won't get shut down. So we got this event coming up in Florida. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to going there and selling some books and signing some books. But I wanted to mention it on here just so that people, because I've had people buy my book from all over the country, and some of them end up with one that doesn't have a signature in it, you know. And I signed the first 1,000 copies, but after that, I you know, there wasn't any promises that I could make. But I wanted to let people know that. So I'm going to be at this event. What's it called again?
It's it's just called the Tampa Gun Show. What is it? December 3rd and 4th at the Florida State Fairgrounds in Tampa.
Yep.
And that's a Saturday and Sunday, right?
Saturday, Sunday. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to be there next to the State Patriot booth, right? Are we going to be next to each other?
Yeah, we'll probably just they'll probably just put us right next to each other.
So what people need to do is if they don't have a book, come buy a book and get it signed. If you have a book and it's not signed, come and get it signed, and then come buy some State Patriot hats and shirts. And so that you can, I mean, I imagine you guys are pretty successful down in Florida, right? I mean, Florida is like the reddest of the red states.
It is,
like,
you know, and it's fun, you know, going to gun shows is, you know, yeah, we do well. We have a lot of fun. I mean, I think really we have a lot more fun just the people we meet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of, there's the one we went to that we talked to these two guys, both from New York.
Yeah,
and I mean,
they were great.
We were talking about they were they were both retired police
from during 9/11.
Yeah, and it's, you know, so we got talking about that, and we start talking about food, and we're like, are we all going out to dinner tonight now? Like, I mean, so, you know, you meet people like at a thing like that. Everyone, you know, you just assume everyone's pretty much like-minded, so it's easy conversations. This weekend we're going to a couple, you know, like October-y fall festival types things. You know, and again, it's fun to see, you know, kids at those different events. Like they run up and they love to see the different stuff, give them stickers, play games.
Yeah.
Whatever. You know, so it's a lot of fun. It's great for our kids too to get out, because it's important for them to see. You know, they'll come down and be like, hey, can we play? And we'll be busy working on something. It's like, crap, you know, we do need to step away and go, you know, be parents. But it's also good for them to see like mom and dad are, you know, we're up early, we're up late, we're working our tails off. And just kind of instilling them like, you know, everything they have doesn't just poof appear. Like you got to put in hard work and earn it. So, you know, and they're,
you can see that they understand it too, and that they appreciate, because they're always wanting to help. Well, what can I do to help? Can I help package the shirts? Can I help do some orders? Can I help whatever, clean up one of the fulfillment centers? And we're just like,
well, that's good.
Because our daughter's 7. I mean, and we'll be walking through like Lowe's, and she'll just go up to people that have a shirt and like, is that a State Patriot shirt? And you're like, the hell are you talking about? She's like, well, you should wear a State Patriot shirt. You should back the blue. And it's like,
she's so funny. She's like, State Patriot. It honors all first responders in our military. We have the green line, the red line, the blue line. I'm just like, oh, you are so good.
Oh, that's cute. Well, all that helpfulness kind of goes away when they become teenagers. I don't know. I mean, I've got a 16-year-old daughter, and it's like pulling teeth to try to get her to help me with anything. She's a good kid, but just a typical teenager. You know,
we also know. Yes,
but
we are starting to get that.
A couple years. We're almost there.
Yeah. Where can people find you guys? If they're looking for you, where can they find you?
You can find us. Our website is www.statepatriot.com, and our socials are @StatePatriot. And then we're trying to get in some retail stores, so fingers crossed that you'll hear next year.
Yeah, there's a couple I know, like there's a couple different police departments, fire departments that they have shirt bids coming up. So if anyone knows, you know, someone they want to connect us with, you know, the dry fit shirts are great for under uniforms and things like that. So get us connected with those people as well.
Nice. Yeah, for you guys watching and listening, come see us in Tampa at the fairgrounds, December 3rd and 4th. Come buy a book, come get some shirts, come get some hats, and then go look for State Patriot, statepatriot.com. Look them up on Instagram, Facebook, follow them at State Patriot. If you watch the videos, and even if you go through my site, you'll get a promo code for a discount, either 50% off, 20% off, whatever the case is. So, guys, I appreciate you guys coming on with me today. I'm looking forward to the event in Florida. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And
get in some trouble on Friday, maybe.
yeah. I'm actually trying to. My publisher is looking for a bookstore down there where I can actually go and do a book signing. So I may be there for an extended period of time, either a couple days before the weekend or a couple days after. We'll kind of see. But I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, we'll have to go to dinner or something at least one night, and you guys can show me around.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.